like to start a shir every day. We're going to try. We'll see how far we get. Tonight, tomorrow, we could do Saturday night. We'll learn Gemara, Avodah Zarah, or maybe we go ahead a little bit. Maybe we'll do a few blot in this one video. See how far we get. So, Daf Yomi is starting tomorrow, but it's already, I don't really learn Daf Yomi. A little too slow for me, personally. But I know some folks were asking me to teach the Daf Yomi actually in person, but I don't think I'd be able to make it. So we'll see what we can do. Let's start learning. So Avodah Zarah, it's an interesting tractate. It's actually referenced as something that was a very ancient thing. That our Gemara Avodah Zarah has 5 chapters, right? The Mishnah Gemara. So they say that the Mesechus of Avodah Zarah of Avram Avinu had 400 chapters, meaning to say that it was there was a lot more to learn about in the time of Avram Avinu. So Avodah Zarah is strange or foreign worship, and so it's talking about idolatry, other religions. There's a lot of discussion about particularly the legal aspects of what constitutes an idol. It's not so much theological as much as practical legal issues as to what constitutes an idol, and also what constitutes wine that was offered in idolatrous worship. It begins, though, with discussing idolatrous holidays. So the first Mishnah says, that before the holidays, the word Eid means really, with the olives, the time of destruction and downfall and so forth, but it's also a cognate of the words for our holidays. Like, for example, in Arabic, holidays are called Eid. So it's similar to that. So before the holidays of the pagans, 3 days, you cannot do any business with them. You can't borrow things from them or lend things to them, borrow from them. As far that's talking about items, similarly, borrow and lending money. You can't borrow and lend money to them. And also you can't pay them back or have them pay you back a loan. So Yehuda says, no, even 3 days before a holiday, if they owe you money, you can collect the debt, because that's uncomfortable, to collect the debt from the debtor. Amruloi, they said to him, no, even though it's uncomfortable for the debtor to pay the loan back, he's happy that he's released from the debt, and other reasons. So after some time, he's happy that he paid the debt. Either he owns the thing that he paid the debt for, whatever it is. So it says the Gemara, Rabbi Shmuel. So we first see there's an argument between Rav and Shmuel. Very common that these two Amoraim had machlokas. Chad tani eidehen, chad tani eidehen. One teaches, like we have in our version of the Mishnah, the word Eid spelled with an aleph, and the other taught that it's spelled with the ayin, so it's eidehen. My desani eidehen lemishtabash, man desani eidehen lemishtabash. And the one who teaches with the aleph is not wrong, and not confused, and the one who teaches with the ayin is also not confused or wrong. Man desani eidehen lemishtabash. So if you teach that the word for the pagan holidays is Eidein with an aleph, he's not wrong. The Kisiv Kikarvium Edom. So verse in the Isaiah. Isaiah 43 verse. Oh no, I'm sorry. Oh, it's in Deuteronomy. It's in Hazinu. Deuteronomy 32:35. Kikarav Yom Edom. The day of their destruction is nigh. And the one who says Eidehin with an ayin, which would mean there. So there in Deuteronomy and Parshas Hazinu, it's the day of their destruction. Eidein with ayin, which means the witnesses. It says they give in Isaiah 43 verse 9. It says Yitnu Eidein Yitzdaku. They give their witness and are justified. So mandasani Eidein my tamalei tane Eidein. So why is the one who says aid with the olive, which means the day of destruction, does not teach it aid with the ayin, which means a testimony? Amalach, so they answered to him, Tvara Alef. Because this breaking, this destruction, that's the stronger term that we're trying to bring out here, that their idolatry should be broken up. On the Sunday Aidayan, my time Aidayan. So the one who teaches that it's Aidayan with ayin, which means their testimonies, why wouldn't you say Aidayan with aleph, which means they're breaking the destruction? What causes their breaking, their destruction? The testimony that they testified for themselves of their own sins. So therefore the testimony is the stronger terminology, that they look what they're doing, they're testifying to their idolatry by participating in pilgrimage or whatever festivities that certainly we're talking at times ancient Greeks and ancient Romans, where their idolatrous holidays were really quite sinful. So the Gemara asks, Talmud asks, is it really so that this verse in Isaiah 43 verse 9, where it says they give their testimonies and they're justified, is this actually speaking of the heathen nations of Yisrael Ksiv? The verse is actually talking about the Israelites, the Jewish people. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, because Rabbi Joshua the son of Levi said, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says, every mitzvah, every precept, every commandment that the Jew in this world comes and testifies for him in the next world that he deserves to be rewarded for his devotion to God. As the verse says, this is our verse in Isaiah, they give their testimonies and they're justified. Elu Yisrael. These are the Israelites. Yishma'u v'yamru emes. They will hear and say the truth. Elu musa'olam. When they will listen, they'll understand, and they'll say the truth. Those are the nations of the world. But then times will come to recognize the truth of monotheism and of God's word. And they'll abandon their idolatry, as most of them have already done. Alamar of Huna, brother Rabbi Yehoshua, but Rabbi Huna, the son of Rabbi Joshua, said, Manda Amar Aidayan, one who says Aidayan with an ayin, that the testimonies, you could understand that we would call the pagan holidays Aidayan testimonies. So it's this verse. Let's see which verse it is. It's in Isaiah 44 verse 9, that those who manufacture an idol, they're all for nothingness, and all of their beloved idols, they won't help them, and they are their testimonies. Darish Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa, so Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa expounds as follows: Rabbi Simlai, Rabbi Simlai who expounds this verse, maybe Kadosh Baruch Hu Sefer Torah Yichud B'Cheiko. So obviously, this is talking about in a archetypical sense, that in the future eschatological time, the divine blessed one, God, will take out a Torah scroll and hold it in by his chest. Obviously, it doesn't mean literally. He said, whoever studies Torah should come and take his reward. So then, all of the nations of the world, they're going to come in a total mixture of confusion, and they're going to gather together. That same verse, the earlier verse in Isaiah, says all the nations will gather together. And all the peoples will come together, and who from among them will tell over this and say over the first things that they heard. They will give their testimonies and will be justified. They will listen, and they will say the truth. Or say it is true. So God is going to say to the nations of the world, don't come to me all confused and mixed up. Meaning, don't come all the nations as just one group of mixed together, crazy mixed up nations there, but rather each and every nation can come as its own, as a nation, as its own archetype, its own entity. And each nation should bring its scribes. And they'll gather the peoples. The peoples means the kingdom. As it says, one nation will fight against another, it will be mighty and strong against other nation. Is there really any such thing as confusion and mixture in the presence of God? God knows who everyone is. The point is, they shouldn't get confused among themselves. It's not that God is confused. This is the way they should hear what he says to them, each one by itself. So, which nation will come first in front of God will be the Romans. My time, why? Because they're very prominent, important people. Now, the Cheshiva, where did it arrive that the Romans are so important? That sounds like it's from Daniel. Chapter 7, verse 23. They said that the fourth beast is the Kain Omar. So he says, that the fourth beast is the fourth kingdom, Tevi Ba'ara, will be in the land of Sishneim and Kol Vasa, and they'll be different from every other nation. V'seichul Kol Ara, Dushina V'sak Sadkina, and it will eat up all the earth. And I'm not sure what. Let's see. Maybe we'll open up the English. Those last words that we quoted. Oh, he's ended me. Why is it like that? I have to bear with me. And it shall devour all the earth, will shred it down and break it in pieces. All right. Let's go back to Hebrews. Not sure why it's doing that. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said, "Zayroimi chayevish shetiv ayat b'chol olam." So this verse, talking about the fourth beast, is talking about Rome, which is the guilty nation, and its influence went all around the world. Where do we derive that the one that's prominent, important, should come first? Maybe it should come last, or some other time. Rav Chisda, this is according to Rav Chisda's teaching. Number of Chisda, because Rav Chisda taught Melech Mitzibur Melech Dechtas Techila, that when there's a king and there's a congregation, a community, the king comes in first, within, to be judged. As it says, verse in First Kings, chapter 8, verse 59, to perform the judgment of his servant, this King Solomon, in his prayer, and the judgment of his people Israel. So meaning that King Solomon's judgment comes before the rest of the Israelite people. Time of mind, what's the reason for this? It could be like him saying, Lav ara lemesav malkam boy, boy So one opinion is it's not right for the king to be standing outside waiting for everybody else. The other opinion is that if he comes in first, it will calm down the anger. So God said to the Romans, he asked them, what did you keep yourselves busy with? They said in front of Rabbi Shalom, Master of the universe, Harish, welcome to Zakino. We made many marketplaces, we made many bathhouses, we amassed a lot of gold and silver. And we did all of this so the Jews should be able to sit and learn Torah. We got all the work done so the Jews could learn Torah. So God answered the Romans, you are the biggest fools in the world. You think you're going to fool me to say that you did this all for the Jews? I know all this work you did for yourselves. You made marketplaces to put harlots. You put bathhouses so you can enjoy yourselves. And the gold in the kesef is mine. As the verse says in Haggai, for chapter 2, verse 8, mine is the silver and mine is the gold, says the Lord of hosts. Saith the Lord of hosts. Is there anybody to tell this to you? As it says, who's going to tell you this? As it says in Isaiah, no, where it says, Torah. Zos means Torah. I guess that's the verse. This is the Torah that Moses set before the people. So the Romans went out and they're very upset that they were not successful in their judgment. So the Roman Empire leaves. So after the Romans came the Persian Empire. My time. So what's the reason for that? The Chashiva Basra, because they're second in their distinction. They're also distinguished people, but second to the Romans. Manalan, where do we derive that? The Chasiv is written again in Daniel. Va'aru cheva achari tanyana damiel adob. Excuse me, a second beast arose that looked like a bear. The son of Yosef. Rav Yosef says about the Persian, they eat and drink like a bear, and fat like a bear, but Godlin Seir Kadov, and they're hairy like a bear. They're very hairy. And also they never really rest like a bear. They might look like they're hibernating, but they really can never really relax. So God said to them, what did you keep yourselves busy with? So the Persian said in front of God, Master of the universe, we bridged up many bridges. We built bridges. We conquered many towns. We made many wars. And we did all this just so the Jews could learn Torah. We know that's the most important thing. So God said to the Persians, all these things you did for yourselves. You built bridges just to collect tolls. You conquered cities just to take the people into your army, to draft them into your army. And I make wars. It says in the book of Exodus, the Lord is a man of war. No one told this to you. As the verse says, who will tell this to you? Among you, Torah, and the only thing that is called this is Torah. The verse says this is the Torah that Moses said. So too the Persians went out sad that they did not pass the muster. So once the Persians, the Romans saw that they couldn't get anywhere, my time island, why did they even show up? So could I have the one of the vitamin waters? West vitamin waters. So thank you. That's hope this is not the one with the caffeine.
Sorry.
I don't even know. I know one of them has caffeine. I don't know. So why would the Persians even bother to come in once they saw the Romans failed? So they had a very easy answer. So the Romans destroyed the temple, and the Persians built the temple. But they come and they're trying. Why didn't they succeed? My time so why would they come? So why did other nations come once they saw the Persians and the Romans didn't succeed? So they might say, well, the Romans and the Persians, they both subjugated the Israelites, but not every nation subjugated the Israelites. So what difference is it? Excuse me. So Romans and the Persians, they were prominent nations. The other nations are not so prominent. So the Hanach Mashchi b'Mulchusayu Hadas Mashiach. The other thing is that both the Romans and the Persians would continue until the Messiah comes. In one form or the other, right? So even though Rome, the ancient Rome that was disappeared, Rome today, and even by that time in history, was the church, right? Roman Catholic Church, which still exists to today and will exist until Mashiach comes. And then so too the Persian Empire. Whether we're talking about the Iranians or we're talking about there's still some small groups of Zoroastrians, mostly in India. But the Zoroastrian religion still, even though it's very, very small, it still continues to exist to this day. So it's not clear. Rome, I would say, is almost certainly the church, even though it's gone through a lot of iterations and changes and so forth. But Persia could either mean Iran, which is today the Shiite Iran, or the ancient Persian religion, the Zoroastrians, which, as we said, still exists to this day. And Islam also will continue to exist until Mashiach comes. I'm in front of Rebbe Shalom. So all the other nations of the world, they're going to say, Master of the Universe, why are we being punished? So the Jews, you gave them the Torah, and they kept it. Maybe not perfectly, but more or less. You never gave us anything. So what complaint can you have about us? What can we say about this? Where do we find such a thing? It says in Psalm 68, the Lord said, from Sinai he comes and he shines from Seir to his people. Yahweh, and the psalm continues. It says that God comes from Yemen, from the south. My boy Beseir, my boy Befaran. So the verse talks about Seir and Paran. So what are we talking about? Amar Rebbe Yochanan. Rebbe Yochanan says, Malamed teaches Shechzira HaKadosh Baruch Hu Al Kol U'Muvlashin. That God went and he visited each and every nation, each and every language. Meaning he offered the Torah to every nation in their own language. And they did not accept it. Until God came to the Israelites and they accepted the Torah. So rather, this is what we say, Klum Kibal Nuah V'lei Kiamnuha. But we did not accept it, so therefore we didn't keep anything we didn't accept. This what's concerning here, why didn't it accept it if it was given? I'm starting to get tired. But we're almost there, about an hour. So this is what they answered God. Rebbeinu Shalom, Master of the Universe. You forced the Israelites to accept the Torah. You overturned the mountain like a barrel. They were over a barrel. Why didn't you do that to us? Why didn't you force us to accept the Torah? It says they were under the mountain. So if you understand it literally, the cone of the mountain over the people. It said, if you accept the Torah, it's going to explain it. Rav Dimi Bar Chamas, Rav Dimi Bar Chan explained, Lamed Shekafu Kadosh Baruch Hu Harkagigas Al Yisrael. It teaches that God overturned the cone of the mountain like a barrel over the Israelites. And God said to them, if you accept the Torah, it'll be good. And if no, there will be thy sepulcher. This is where you're going to be buried. Miyad, immediately, so immediately God is going to answer the nations of the world. The first things you understood, you heard it. As it says, the first things will make us listen to them, understand it. But you accepted the 7 laws of Noah. Did you keep those? You murdered, you stealed, you did everything. Stole, steal, whatever. Where do we derive that they didn't keep the 7 laws of Noah? The son of Yosef. Rav Yosef teaches, so the verse says in Habakkuk says, he stood up and he measured the earth and he saw that the nations were jumping and they were dancing, or they were broken up with these ancient mountains that broke up to the ancient hills, but the ancient ways of the world are his. So Myra, what they see? Below Kimum. So the 7 laws that the Noahites, the sons of Noah, accept upon themselves, and they didn't keep them. Since they didn't keep them, Amad B'tir Lahem. So God just let them do whatever they want. He doesn't care anymore. What do you mean He'd let them do whatever they want? If that's the case, then this person, they're being rewarded for their sins instead of punished. Marbre the Ravina says, so the point is that no, even if they keep the 7 laws of Noah, they're not going to be rewarded for them. So it's a pretty scary thing. So that's part of the reason why some of my friends say, if you're going to believe in the Torah, you should don't just keep Shemitz B'nei. You should become a Yid. You should convert. Because it says here that if you don't keep even they keep the 7 laws of Noah, they're not going to be rewarded for keeping them. So, all right. Well, that's the first daf in Avodah Zarah. Let me know if this is interesting, if you should continue this. Maybe finish the whole Daf Avodah Zarah, the whole Gemara. It takes, 2.5 months or so. But maybe it's worth it. Alright, thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment. We'll see you later. Alright, I gotta turn this one off. Alright, nobody's watching this? Alright, love you.